The Spoken Token is a proud member of the Pod Studio One podcast network.
Hello, everyone. This is Future Larry here. I just wanted to give you a brief heads up on the audio quality. Alex and I were remote and away from the studio, and as we've already said across social media, we lost our original game day. We recorded a game day, we played a day full of games and friends, we ran microphones in the background, and then Alex and I did segments in between, and unfortunately that audio was lost. So Alex and I got together to recreate the games play section. We actually got to add a few games that missed it last time for this episode, and we've now re-recorded the episode. But I did want to warn everyone, like I said, there's going to be some uneven things with volume, and there are some things, obviously, Alex and I won't be in the studio. So I wanted to apologize or at least get you prepared beforehand for that incoming. So again, thank you for being patient. Thank you for all of those of you who have waited. We really hope you enjoy it. And let's get on with the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome into the big show.
Part 2.
I am Larry Neal.
And this is Alex Wallace.
And we are the Spoken Token Podcast. Mr. Alex, how you doing, sir?
Oh, man, I am shaking my head in disgust. If you have followed us at all on social media, you might understand that Larry and I have actually already recorded this show once before. And so the computer ate our homework. I mean, we were...
So, I appreciate you checking the bullet for me. So, I'll go on and tell the mistake.
No. I mean, just listen. We had some technical difficulties, and the show that
it was me. I lost the audio, guys.
Yeah, we lost the show. And maybe it's for the better. So we are here, round 2, a little bit late than normal.
Right, because what we did that time, you don't know, because we didn't get to air the episode, was we had a game day. Alex and I, we played games, and we talked about them at the end of the day. And we ran a microphone throughout the day, and we had some B-roll stuff with us playing in the background, and we were going to put together this whole nice package. Well, we're going to play those games again. We won't have the B-roll because it's just Alex and I scheduled for today, but we did want to get the episode done and get one out to you.
Absolutely. But you know what? I thought about it, and I'm actually excited about the opportunity to revisit the games that we got to the table that day, because I've actually had some time to marinate on it.
Right. And that was part of the original one. I'm glad that you say that. We knew we were recording the day we were playing it fresh.
Yeah.
The first time.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of a combination of a first impressions and a kind of a pre on the table.
Yeah.
And that was by design, but you're right. Now we've had, has it been a week? Not quite a week. No, it was last Thursday.
Yeah.
So not quite a week we've had to live with them. And I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, it'll inform us a little bit differently. And that'll be a little bit different slant. We wanted to get that fresh play experience. Some of that, not all of that audio was lost. So some of it may surface. You never know in the future. Depending on if I can clean it up. It's really, what I saved is really dirty.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of pops and a lot of garbles in it. At one point, it's almost like I had a metronome running in it.
Oh, gosh.
And it's popping every second. So I was going in, scrubbing those, and I had to zoom way in, and it took me maybe a minute per.
So what we're telling you, folks,
so that's why I was like, okay, we got to record.
Yeah,
we're
re-recording. But it's okay, because you get the better version of the two shows.
Agreed.
So we're really excited to be back to the table. We got some really great things to talk about.
New format today. What are we doing?
Yeah, so we're actually at the Pod Studio One North Studio, which is my den of my house. We're missing Carl.
Well, Pod Studio One is on my game table.
So in Carl's stead, we have my dog Max. Not nearly as talented as Carl, but
he's cute and fluffy though.
Yeah, exactly. So they both have that cute factor going for them.
Oh, we'll get a picture of Max for when we put the show up.
Oh, that's right. So, well, folks, basically the format for today is Larry and I will play a game. Once we have played the game, we will stop and we'll record a segment talking about the game that we've played. So sit back, relax, turn us. I don't even know. How do you do that, Larry? It's just so sultry and.
It just comes to me.
I mean, you're like Kenny G, but with.
I'll play it in a minute.
Okay.
Let's hear it. Oh my God. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Spoken Token Podcast, episode number 90. At this time, Alex and Larry recorded during a game day while playing games and then pausing to give their thoughts on each title. The games played were Ashes Reborn, Rise of the Phoenix Born, Marvel Champions, The Initiative, and Railroad Inc. come join us as we take a first look at some of these titles and revisit others as only the Spoken Token can. So, sit back, relax, make sure you have all your convention reservations in order, and turn us up as we join your hosts, Alex Wallace and Larry Neal. All right, we are back with our first segment. Mr. Alex, so what'd you think about that? We just finished Marvel Champions.
Yeah, and we played Claw, and I will tell you that I don't think I've beat Claw yet.
I know I haven't. That's why when you pulled him, I was like, oh, so we're going to lose tonight. Okay, well.
Claw's just there's nothing really special about his deck. There's this...
Well, he's tough.
Yeah, I mean, and literally tough.
Yeah, he's a really good mix, which I think is something that they do well with this system. He's a good mix of, he's got enough health points and enough interesting things to make you want to pay attention to him, but he schemes enough and his minions are such that you're busy with other stuff.
You're right.
So you really need to juggle that on top of flipping back and forth. We were both playing new decks.
Yeah.
So it's a positive, I think, for the system, but that's what he's been tough. I've played him solo a few times.
Yeah, I've never beat him, whether I played him with a group but I've never made a deck specifically to fight Claw.
I haven't either. I played him with base. I didn't make it specifically to beat him. I played him with base Black Panther, and then I made some adjustments to Black Panther that I thought made sense just based on the deck.
Right.
And then I played him again there and got closer, but still, it wasn't really.
Absolutely, yeah. And so, which I want to talk about that in a second, but we're not here to really talk about our gameplay of Claw. We're actually here to talk about
the whole system.
Yeah, Marvel Champions a year and a half later.
Yeah, 18 months later.
Absolutely. And what we think about this system, where we started our feeling, and then where we are now, and where we kind of see them moving. Right. So let's kind of maybe share with the audience what we thought about Marvel Champions in the beginning.
Right, and I'll start. Mine's a little more nuanced, but I'll try to be quick. I was not as high on it initially. I loved the idea. I thought it was fantastic. And then once we played it, and then we had that instance where I saw it was more of an optimization puzzle than anything. And that helped me cool. But I did buy a copy. And I held on to it because what I felt like I said previously, was that its main hurdle for me was content, which I knew they were going to fix. I wasn't concerned with them being able to eventually fill it out. The question was, what we were just talking about a minute ago, is how they were going to fill it out. You know, on what schedule were these guys going to come out? Am I going to get 11 hero packs of B and C tier Marvel heroes before they give me one A tier? And then they're going right back to 7 or 8 C. And they haven't been quite that dramatic, but for me, it's been a little bit too much. But they've absolutely fixed the problem in terms of content. The content, what we played last Thursday, was brilliant. Kang the Conqueror is brilliant.
That's the best scenario outside of the kind of the campaign boxes.
Right, and I told you guys last week, which we lost unfortunately, it's probably the third or fourth best. It's in the top 5 superhero moments I've had in board gaming. It's only behind, for me, it's only behind Sentinels of the Multiverse. That experience was that game there. I don't know what it may be like long term yet, but that game there was fantastic.
Yeah, it's so well designed,
so thematic, and so it was awesome.
Yeah, and so now, and I'll swing back around because I want to talk about that as well, that design piece. But my journey with, or at least where I started, was I was love at first sight. Because I loved Arkham Horror, but I struggled with the content. And so I was really looking for something that was similar to that. And I thought Marvel Champions would fill that hole. And so I went in head first. And and I was just like, I love this, like hugging the box as I slept and, and all this kind of stuff. Well, what I did was then I hit a wall. And I was like...
It was the content.
Yeah, and I was just like, well, it's just really just figuring out how to take all the stuff and then hit something real hard. Like, again, like you said, I like that term, an optimization puzzle.
Yep.
And so no one really seemed interesting, because I really loved the idea of having a protection hero and a thwart hero.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant.
And all of those kinds of, in leadership. But then it just became like, well, how can I eke out damage, in all of this kind of stuff?
And I think value's there, just interject right quick, value's there. Because even though the individual heroes are being sold, was it $12, I guess, $14, That's a huge value, though. You get a complete playable deck, and then there are extra cards in there to help round out your building possibilities. That's value, guys.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they're
I have to be done that way.
I cannot disagree with their release strategy.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things I've always appreciated about it. I've never felt... now, other than the time that, I made that confession of I want to just keep buying it. But, we're 3 months from that interview that you and I gave about keep buying these expansions. Because now that I've opened them and gone through them, this new content, so I'm going to sort of jump into what I feel now. So I was in love at first sight. I cooled at it because there wasn't anything interesting. It just felt like, everything needed to be damage based. Now... everyone that they've come out with as of late, they're just so intriguing, and so now you really feel like a role player. And so if you want to run a protection hero, you're going to be able to help your team. And not just defend and then that's all I have to do. Right. But no, there's really fascinating, interesting things that are going on, and. The heroes that I've played, even over the last 2 weeks, I played Peter Quill and I played Quicksilver today. There's just small little nuances in the way that their deck is designed that I genuinely felt like this is very akin to what this character is like in the comic books.
Right.
So Star-Lord, it was all about big risk for big reward. Mm-hmm. So he allows you to take an encounter card, which is what the villain does against you, so that you can pay for you can make a really expensive card cheaper. Yeah. So you get really tough and strong and can have these huge turns, but you end up really hurting yourself. And honestly, it was my downfall when we played Kang. And then, so this time I played Quicksilver, and the way that his deck is set up, he's not very strong in anything, but he has so many cards that let him tap and untap. And so you're doing death by 1,000 cuts?
Yeah, you're moving so fast.
Yeah, and
because you did 8 damage one time like nothing.
Right, and I got to tap and untap and just in like this, but it wasn't like one big hit, it was 4 small hits that made a massive difference, and it's just so rewarding to see a character play like that. And that was one of the things about Arkham Horror that I really enjoyed, was that there was a level of role playing. And I mean you play a role in this team. Right.
Well, I always felt like this game had the more potential than even my favorite Marvel game currently, which is still my favorite Marvel game, because you were playing a character in that one deck. Okay? As opposed to in the other system, of course, you're playing a mastermind and you're dealing with several different heroes at once, and you're recruiting a bunch of heroes. So it's really not that personal. This has the ability, like you said, to give you that, to dig down into the character and to do the role play. My thing was I was concerned about whether or not that's the way that the scene was going to go, or if people were just going to run straight to optimization, and it doesn't really matter what the character is. When you get the deck, blow it apart, put these 12 cards in, you'll never lose. That's no fun to me. That's not a challenge to me. But that's not what I sense has built up around the game internally from Fantasy Flight. Now, whether or not the community, or there's a community that's doing that was never my consideration. I wasn't worried about the community. I wanted to make sure that Fantasy Flight wasn't going to buy into that, because in some circles, Magic, Pokemon, that makes money. And the companies shift, they pivot. Well, if that's what you want, then that's what we'll give you. And I was hopeful, and I don't think they're going to.
Yeah.
I think enough product has come out now where I can kind of breathe a sigh of relief and say, okay, Fantasy Flight's not going to buy into that as this is how we're going to build this. It still gives you, like you said, that role play. And that's what was so amazing about the Kang experience. The things that happened to me as Doctor Strange, when he broke us out and sent us to our different times, then my nemesis shows up. It was like at the worst possible time.
Yeah.
Those moments in my head, because I'm always running a story, those moments, you couldn't write it better. It's like, this is fantastic.
Yeah,
it's like I'm reading a book. This is fantastic. And that is one of the beauties for me of Marvel Champions.
And that's where
only gotten better.
Right. And that's where they're taking design risks. And like what you said, it's not for competitive play. Any deck has the potential to be just as effective as any other deck. Mm-hmm. So there's not like you go, let me grab, I have to play this card, because it's just better than other cards.
Right.
No, the way that they've designed it, everything has a home in a particular style of deck you'd like to create.
Yeah, you want to play protection. You want to play any of the aspects with any of the heroes, do it.
Yeah, and the great thing about that is from a purchasing standpoint, really you don't have to own every piece of this.
Right.
Now, you're allowed to explore the richness of it, but no, because any content that you own allows you to do something unique.
Right.
And it won't be, again, overpowered or like you have to get this expansion to make sure you get this 2 cards so that you can do. No, you don't need that. Again, right out of the base box.
Right.
Everything is open to you, and it's pretty wonderful. And then, again, it shows that they're willing. This is kind of beside the point. Tangent, squirrel. But I want to go back to the design, the design risk that they're taking. What you're saying, they are moving away from, we've got to be, all of the characters have to be these massive damage dealers.
Right.
No, they are saying, all right, let's, when I think like design risk, when they took the modality of the Transformers cards, and so when you have Ant-Man and the Wasp, they have the ability to transform into a miniature, but then you can split the card in half, and then it's a giant size, and you can bounce back and forth just like they do in the movies and in the comic books.
Yeah.
It's just a blast to watch. Alston and I played it several months ago when Ant-Man first came out, and he triggered, like, he went from big to small to normal and then back again, and then just doing all of this stuff.
Just like in the old school books.
Right, but
more comic book than MCU.
But and then what was amazing about that is that all from the fact that they folded a card in half and then printed on 3 sides. Right. It's just design risk.
Oh, you know what's funny too? Now that you mention that, they make a sleeve. Because, the Transformers cards had those too. Mm-hmm. And there is a company, I can't remember the name of them, they make a sleeve for that.
Okay.
So that it slides. Mm-hmm. So that you can put the card in it open. And then part of it is opaque that you can't see through. Mm-hmm. So that's how you make it, the small one, when you can flip it over.
Okay.
So that you're not folding the card, because it's paper.
Yeah.
And eventually it will rip in half.
Yeah.
So a lot of them were like, well, we don't want to do that. And, Transformers is canceled, but this game isn't.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that any of that stock that's probably anywhere you can find is probably
That's a great idea, yeah.
It's probably still there.
Yeah.
Because, Transformers was canceled.
Yeah. Now, another thing I want to move into is their narrative arcs. So they have 2 campaign expansions, and they've just released a third one coming in August. Yep. But their first one was The Rise of the Red Skull. The second one is called, it's a Guardians of the Galaxy. I can't remember the...
Galaxy's Most Wanted.
Yeah, Galaxy's Most Wanted.
Yep.
So in that one, you get Rocket and you get Groot.
Yep.
And then in August, I don't remember the heroes, but it is versus Thanos.
Pulsar is one of them.
Okay.
I'm saying Pulsar. I'm probably saying her name wrong. It's Monica Rambeau.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's Monica Rambeau, and I can't remember who the other one was. Would have been a perfect place to put Nova. Oh, my God.
Yeah, well.
Don't get me started.
Well, Nova is in Peter Quill's deck. So
as a main character.
Yeah, that's true. And so the narrative arcs are really well done. And because one of the things from the Arkham Horror LCG that I really missed was the ability to upgrade your deck as you went through a story. And so I think that they took the things that worked well in Arkham Horror. I do miss a little bit of the narrative piece with the cards and that, but it's a different system. It doesn't matter.
Right.
And so and I really enjoy that. I think it
the Mad Titan's Shadow.
Mad Titan's Shadow. There it is. Yeah. But you play 5 scenarios. There are 5 different villains. But with this last one, the Galaxy's Most Wanted, that was one of
Adam Warlock.
Oh, okay, cool.
And Spectrum.
Is that Monica Rambeau?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Monica.
But in this last one, and one of the kind of my concerns is like, well, all you really have to do is damage. Like, that's how you defeat. You thwart, you kind of just have to mitigate your thwart, otherwise you'll lose, and then eventually have to do damage. Well, in Galaxy's Most Wanted, there are elements in which damage is not the main key to winning a particular scenario,
right.
Which I think
it's a direction the game needs to go in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've
got to put that content out there.
You've got to move away from strictly dealing damage, because again, if you're wanting to represent these heroes as accurately as you have, some of these heroes, like they're not damage dealers.
Right. And again, I think that's the depth of the Marvel universe, and DC too, actually, to an extent, is that they do other things.
Right.
Like you said, some of the biggest capers that they went on wasn't about dealing damage. Some of it was just about surviving an encounter or figuring out a puzzle. You know, Mitzelplex comes to mind with Superman.
Yeah.
And over in the DC world. And so Trickster also is another one. But for me, that's the type of content that's been missing. Obviously, Legendary doesn't do anything like that per se. What they do, and they do it in a nutshell, in terms of the schemes. Their schemes are like that. But their schemes are always one of several in the game. The whole game is not about that. So I don't think that waters them down. But again, that's not what the whole game is about. Mm-hmm. Overarching, you still got to beat the bad guy.
Yeah.
But each one of those schemes that come out, and they've done literally hundreds of them.
Yeah.
And I think that's fantastic. So again, I think that's a good way to do it. But I think Marvel Champions has the ability to dig into that era of the Marvel Universe even better.
Yeah.
And I think for, again, any superhero game, not just the Marvel and DC ones, but any of them, I think that's the strength of it.
Yeah.
What they're trying to nudge into now, which is what you're talking about, which is, okay, we got enough, damage dealing stuff. If you want to go in the arena and just beat on somebody, play one of these scenarios. But hey, these are superheroes and they do other things.
Yeah.
Now we got some content over here for you. Now go and play this. It has nothing to do with dealing damage.
And I'm really interested.
Super exciting.
And one of the things I really enjoy is you having to flip to your alter ego to kind of recover, rest, and those kinds of things. I would love to see content that dealt with the alter ego a little bit more. Maybe there's a hero that doesn't...
the obligation.
Yeah.
The obligation is a one card.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't always see it. Because it could go through as a boost or something.
Right.
But I'd love to see something that you had to walk through...
An expansion that puts cards... Because they could do that in one box.
Yeah.
And do 4 or 5 cards for everybody's alter ego. Oh.
And because I think that's where this game is going. And that's
listening?
What
you listening?
What I love about this game is moving from a as Larry put it, an optimization puzzle, an optimization puzzle.
There's a new word.
To an actual narrative event.
Yep.
And because just like when we played Kang, that was a narrative event.
It's fantastic.
And when we played Claw, I started to kind of think like it's these, especially with these new heroes, as thematic as they are.
Yeah.
It becomes this story that the game is unfolding, which I think is where if they continue to do what they're doing, I think this game is going to actually be more than just sort of this blip. It's like, they're just...
Yeah, and I think it's more than a blip now. Honestly, for me, I think, for me personally, the only thing that needs to happen. I mean, I want to see this narrative arc, because, I'll eat that up. I love that. But I just need more actual Marvel class heroes. If, one company now owns all the licenses, where are my X-Men? Okay.
They're waiting on Phase 4 of Marvel. That's what they're waiting on.
I know that, and that's the other thing. I would really love to see them decouple, and I know that's not up to them.
Yeah.
I would love to see them decouple from the whole MCU. You know how I feel about that. But at some point, maybe somebody from Disney is listening. What makes sense about the properties that you bought are the properties that you bought. What you've done is you've taken them and you're saying, "Ooh, I know how to market this and make it better." No, actually, what makes them good is what they are. Not how you market them per se. Not saying that marketing hurts, but it's not a bad thing for them to do the marketing. But I just want to see more A-class heroes. Like I said, I'd love to see the X-Men come in. That's the only thing for me at this point, characters. The skeleton is more than there.
Yeah.
They've done it as far as the skeleton is concerned. Just a little more meat, please.
Yep. I think we're going to get it.
Hey, man, it's early yet and we got more games.
More games! We'll be back.
We'll be back. We're going to play and we'll be back.
Hey, and we are back after another playthrough of a game, and holy smokes, Larry.
Hey, man. I don't know about you, but I want to do this for a living.
Yeah, for real. I want this to be my real job.
Yeah, this has been fantastic.
Especially after playing a game like The Initiative.
Oh, man.
Oh.
What?
I
And again, I think some of what I may have been able to save, which we may eventually have to play, is our initial right after we played it the last time. But yeah, we want to talk about it now. This game is so good, man.
Yeah. So I'm going to, right off the bat, this is usurping for me the legacy style game for if anyone asks for a suggestion. This is where I'm going to go to them first. With the caveat, do you care for puzzles or word puzzles? If you're good, if you don't mind word games, then this is your legacy game. So for me, that's how I'm going to. Now, if someone says, you know what, no, I don't.
Well, I get it. It's just that this isn't a legacy game, but I get what you're saying.
But it is.
Well, see, it felt like that. Remember, we had that last time when you were going through the end, you found all those cards.
Right, I understand.
It's like 90% of the content is not legacy.
Well,
it's not the campaign. It's like a campaign game.
Right.
Not a legacy game because nothing changes.
It does change. You.
Well, I mean, permanently.
Right. No, absolutely. Okay, I'll give you that. It is a campaign game, but with legacy elements you don't fully alter the board.
It very much felt like a legacy game. I mean, and I agree with that.
Okay, which I think adds to its value because
absolutely.
After you're done with the game, you have a whole swath of new things to discover and play through just on its own.
That would have been my only knock against it. Was like, oh man, it's kind of legacy, but because it does kind of feel like that, and I don't know if we've just been conditioned that way. Mm-hmm. But this is not a legacy game.
It's a campaign game. That's fair enough. That's
absolutely not a legacy game. Yeah.
But I would still say if you want a cooperative experience where you move through a narrative arc, this will be my go-to. And then I don't know if that sounds. Then I have others, of course, that I'll send them to.
But it's got such inventive mechanics.
But they're so simple.
Yeah, and it's so thematic. That's probably why it feels like a campaign game. Because a legacy game. A good legacy game draws you in like other non-legacy games really can't.
Yeah.
For me, the only knock on the genre is obviously that, once you just one and done. But the depth of them is unparalleled.
Yeah.
Until now.
Yeah, initiative is,
That's why it feels like that. Because again, there's nothing in the book that suggests that it's a legacy, and it's not. But you do get that feeling because it's...
because you start to... So the reason we say that it's a legacy game is as the game progresses, depending on how you do throughout your particular play session, you will unlock secrets that maybe you didn't unlock if you were playing it through a different time.
Right.
And so certain things pop up that you don't necessarily see if you don't do certain things.
Right.
And you may miss completely like clues or certain things and never get them. So that's why
I don't think they detract from the playthrough at all.
No,
again, like I said, that's just one of the neat things about
we've yet to know if they're like red herrings or as well. So
which is fantastic. But just again talking about what the initiative is, for me, I'm the non-puzzle guy in the group. The guy who doesn't like puzzle games. This one is puzzles of the highest order because you're deciphering clues. I adore this game.
Well, it's not. And to be specific, the type of puzzle
you're decoding.
Yes, it is. It is a coding. It's a decoding game.
Yes.
So you are code cracking.
Yeah, you are code cracking, which it's puzzles. See, already I'm proving my cred. Mm-hmm. Do not like puzzle games, but this game is fantastic. I enjoyed it. For one, it's inventive. I know we talked about it a little bit before, and I do want to make sure I say it this time. In that situation where we've got a publisher, a newer publisher or starting out, where they're not beholden to the money holders saying, hey, put a rubber stamp on X product that sold last year and sell it again this year. And I know board game world as a whole is full of people who don't want to do that, who are creative enough to not want to do that and don't have to do that. But we're starting to see that a little bit in some of the other companies. But I'm so glad that's not here. This is so inventive.
Yeah.
This is board game designers in this current renaissance that we're at. One of my favorites on record, everybody knows, just doing his thing.
Yeah, Corey,
this is fantastic.
And our original conversation, and I still think about this, like this game is so clearly designed so well throughout. I have to imagine that this is the thing that was just sitting in the back of his mind, his little pet project. And we learned how to say his name, and I forgot.
Yeah,
but we've been calling him Corey Konieczka, but it's actually Konieczka, I think. Corey Konieczka, but the basically the brainchild of Fantasy Flight, who left Fantasy Flight to create his own game company.
Yeah.
And
I'm super hyper excited about what they're going to do moving forward.
Yeah. And so ultimately, let's go real quickly. For those of you who don't know about the game, the initiative, it is there are basically two games going on. You have the moment-to-moment game, which is an actual game. So you have a character, you're moving little pawns around, and you're trying to uncover clues, and also you're working through an AI. It uses a card-based action system. So you have a number of cards, and you have to play a higher card on the discard pile of the action you want to take than what is on the top of that discard pile. So it gets really hairy as you're putting things down, and
you can mitigate that to a certain extent, but you can't go willy-nilly.
Right. And
You've
so
got to think about it.
And so those are the actions that you can take. There is a mechanic that lets you sort of clear a discard pile so you can sort of start over, but that itself can never be cleared. And so there's some strategy there. Then once you run out of cards in the draw deck, you actually you go and you take your discard pile with 4 time tokens. Basically, the kind of like the outbreak cards from Pandemic.
Ah, cool! Yeah,
and you shuffle those in, and every time once you draw 3 of them, and one of them has 2 symbols, but then you've lost, or the game is over.
Yeah, that session is over.
Right. And so what you're trying to do is you're trying to move your person around this little board to uncover these little clue tokens so that you can decipher a puzzle on this. I mean, the best thing I put it looks like a Wheel of Fortune board.
It does.
You know, it has these little slots that you can move up and down to uncover.
And you slide the cards in without looking at it beforehand.
Yes.
And it's got little plastic folding gates
that
cover the actual word. And you're trying to get, or the phrase.
Right.
And you're trying to guess the phrase. And it's not all just phrases.
Yeah, sometimes it's like, okay, finish this particular number sequence or something.
Right.
So that's the moment-to-moment game. But then there is this meta story that actually encompasses the game, in which you are
Let's do a slight spoiler alert right here.
Oh, that's true.
If you haven't played this game yet and you want to, you don't want to hear this next section before you do.
Well, I'm going to be really, really coy.
Well, I mean, it's super cool, but I'm going to put it out there.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see how coy you're going to be.
Yeah.
I'm glad you took this part on.
Yes, but ultimately, so you have the game, which is referred to as the key, and this is the basic game, what you were actually playing. But then there's a meta-narrative that involves 4 teenagers that is actually told through a comic book, and it's almost which is the rule book, right? And so, but it's also the campaign book. So depending on how you do determines on which panels that you read. So it's almost kind of like the Choose Your Own Adventure,
Choose Your Own Adventure
graphic novels.
Yep.
Or those. And so other than that, so there's this overarching story, and some of the clues within the game, the key, actually correspond to the bigger meta narrative.
Yeah.
And it's so just how they're interwoven is just so delightful.
It is. And this one absolutely has that mechanic that we talk about and love a lot. What you're doing is extremely simple. Why you're doing it is where all the meat is in this game.
Yeah.
It's almost, I want to call it almost really not to be hyperbolic, but to me, the thing that springs to mind is it's like infinitely replayable in terms of why you're doing the things, the choices that you have. You can go in any direction. Each of the characters have powers, and when you get them, they're not necessarily make or break for the game, but they're important, and you need to use them.
Yeah.
And we were a little willy-nilly earlier on with them, or at least I was with the character I picked. But then I see later on in round 2, or the first one we lost, I guess, was 3. I was like, oh.
No, it was 4. It was round 4.
Yeah, well, I know one of them the first one because we won a couple of them right back to back. But when we did that, it dawned on me. I said, oh, I might need to not be relying on the power so much and maybe getting involved. Because my power, while it was powerful for movement, which was helpful, it was burning through the deck.
Yeah.
So it was getting us to the timer quicker.
Yeah.
So there's so many checks and balances in the game.
Yeah.
Guys, like I said, not a puzzle fan of games or sitting there and figuring them out. It's just not a good time to me. I'm just wired that way. It is what it is. I'm set. I mean, it's not going to change. It is what it is. Larry's not a puzzle guy. Love this game.
Yeah.
Is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beyond the shadow of a doubt, you get an opportunity, you need to be playing the initiative.
Yeah.
It is fantastic. I think it was Konieczka.
Konieczka, that's it. Konieczka. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, is a designer.
And again, Corey, you've played his games before. I mean,
he played a Fantasy Flight game,
Yeah, you have played, and this is so far different than anything else he's ever put out. And it's just, guys, when we say board gaming is about experiences, this is such a cool experience. I cannot recommend this enough.
Yeah, that's two of us.
Yeah, and
Ditto.
I don't think this one's gonna get like it got a lot of kind of his push, but I don't think it's gonna get a lot of critical. I mean, maybe critical acclaim, but I don't know if it's gonna hit like the buy this.
Well, I think this one is a gamer's game in terms of those who either have been here for a long time or for those who legitimately want to be here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's who it's going to catch on with first. By the time, and this is, again, it's not a derogatory thing, it's not a bad thing, it just is what it is. This is a very deep gamer's game in terms of those who want to be here or those who've been here for a long time. The people just coming into the hobby, this is one that's most likely going to pass by them.
Yeah.
Either from the way that it looks, or
this is the game I would hand to them because
and once they get it, it's going to hook them. Yeah.
Because it's like they're going to go. You mean a board game can tell this kind of story?
It's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
And
so we're saying we wanted to do tons of business because it is fantastic, and we definitely need this voice. Which I don't, he's not going anywhere. But we definitely need this voice designing games in the community.
Yeah, and absolutely. So super excited about his new company. Yes. And Unexpected Games. So again, that's Corey. We did it again. You had it once.
I know. It's on the tape.
Konieczka.
It's on the tape.
Something.
Konieczka.
That's it. Konieczka.
So.
I think you're right. Corey Konieczka. Like, I mean,
we play a lot of games there and it's late.
Yes. But
we really are fans. Corey's like, God, how many times can he butcher my name?
Yeah, I know. I'd love to get some fan mail, even hate mail from him. That would be wonderful.
What? Going on the wall.
Yeah. All right. So, Larry, we got some more games to play.
We do have some more games to play, so we're going to head out. But you know what? Between this now and the next game, let's go on and hear a word from our sponsors.
We want to thank the sponsors of today's episode, our friends at Van Ryder Games.
Creators of award-winning games such as the single-player Hostage Negotiator and the One vs. Many Detective City of Angels.
You can find their full catalog of games, including their graphic novel adventures, at vanrydergames.com. That's VANRYDERGAMES.com, your FLGS, or wherever you buy your games online.
Right, and we're back. Alex, we finally got one of my new Kickstarters to the table.
That's true. It was such a fun game.
I lost it, but it was great.
Yeah.
I lost the game. I still have it.
Yeah, you didn't lose the box since you've been in my house.
Right, yeah. Alex beat me, but so funny. We're talking about Railroad Inc. by Horrible Guild.
Yeah, and actually what still is fascinating to me is the designers of Railroad Inc. are the same sick, demented people that wrote the story for The King's Dilemma, which is absolutely brilliant. So, like, these two games could not be the more different.
It's like there's some kind of horrible guild.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, no. This is one that's been on my list to play for a really long time.
You and me both. That's why I'm back to Kickstarter.
Yeah, and wow, I get it. I get why it's where it is. I get why people are like, oh, this is
First time I played it solo, I felt that way, and then I said I've been playing it on BGA, which by the way is fantastic.
So Board Game Arena, absolutely.
In the digital form, it's fantastic. Currently, they only have blue, I believe, but still tons of playability, obviously.
And I think there's also a Steam version and an app version on your phone too.
Right, and I was the same way as you though. For my first solo play, I was like, I get it.
Yeah, but it's not doing anything. Or at least blue. We played red. And so we didn't play with any of the expansions. So we just played vanilla.
Yeah, this was Alex's first game. So
I
played quite a bit, but this is
and it wasn't like what it's asking you to do is, it does exactly what a roll and write needs to do. It gives you great decisions in the moment.
Yes.
But then says you can't ruminate on them long.
Right.
And then, oh, by the way, remember when you did that? Yeah, you screwed yourself. So.
Right. Nice chunky dice.
Yes.
It's got a good amount of mitigation.
Yep.
With the specials across the top.
Yep.
Like I said, we haven't played with any of the expansions yet. This is a solid package. If you're looking for a roll and write that's got a little bit more action to it, I think, and it's a little more visceral. It's really simple. Trust me, no art skill needed.
That's true.
This one can't draw a straight edge with a straight edge.
Yeah.
Not kidding.
Yeah.
My stick people used to hang them own selves. We tried to play hangman every time. I like, why did he hang himself? That's how bad my stick people are.
Yeah, so,
you don't need that in this game. It's super simple.
Art's pretty easy. Yeah, and I even that gives you grid lines to kind of draw things on.
Yep. Super.
Yeah, it's super simple. And so I'm really excited about the absolute number of small expansions that can just be added into just.
Yeah, I can't wait. We'll start digging into those.
Yeah,
too.
just to change the flavor.
Yeah. I'm going to start with, which was my plan this week. I'm going to start going back. I'll go with red now. You're going to run blue, and I'm going to start with the ones in box. I'll probably move on to green and yellow, and then I'm going to dig into some of those little boxes. These are the one that 80 thing with the Pac-Man on it.
Yeah.
Just crazy stuff, and it's like, how does that get involved?
Yeah.
Let's open the pack and find out.
Yeah, and again, it's just
super simple, guys. You roll 4 dice. They have symbols on them that are railroad ink, so it's trains and streets, and you're drawing a network.
Yeah.
And you're connecting stations to get points.
Yeah.
And you're doing a few other things. Your longest street section, your longest rail section.
is for scoring purposes.
For scoring purposes, yeah. The number of stations in one, in each of your networks, you'll get, depending on how big the network is, you'll get points for that.
Yeah.
And then there's a special space. There's 9 spaces in the middle. You'll get an extra point for every space you draw in there. So there's ways to get points.
This is one if you.
It's super simple though. That's the game. I just talked you the game.
If you enjoyed Cartographers, Railroad Ink will fit in. It's not necessarily like a Ganchan's Clever where you're trying to just where you're trying to combo stuff and
this is
numbers.
a lot more chill than that.
Yes, a lot more chill. I mean, you're not. There's not a lot of. I don't think there's any interaction, at least in the vanilla version. I'm sure maybe. I don't even know. Actually, any of the expansions, it didn't look like it.
I don't think
now,
so.
it might mess with your map.
Right.
But
you're all dealing with the same thing.
The game does that, yeah.
Right. You're all dealing
so
with
this is so very, I would say zero, hostile player interaction.
It's a really good point, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you still want to be competitive because you're still trying to win and it's a puzzle,
so it's a lot.
you get to play it by yourself. You don't have to worry about somebody.
It reminded me a lot of Welcome To, where everybody has the same things to choose from, but what they do...
Very much in that same vein.
Can
be extremely competitive, but not stabby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
No, I love it. It's a keeper. It's a winner. I'm glad to be racking up plays on it. I will continue to rack plays up on it. I'll play this one anytime.
Yeah, and again, I mean, we were done in 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
Probably.
But you had to explain it, too.
Yeah, I could explain it. It took me a little longer than it has because I played the last time because I really didn't want to lose this time. But I did teach Alex, so my record is intact. If when I teach it, I lose it. But I had a blast.
Yeah,
I mean, it's such
a
fun game.
It's good stuff.
And coming towards the end of the night after the other games we played,
it's a good palate cleanser.
It fit right in.
Yeah.
Because it's a little bit more meaty than that, but it still fits there.
Yeah.
So it fits high in that filler palate cleanser neighborhood, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, that's Railroad Ink by Horrible Guild. If you haven't had a chance to play it, you can play it electronically. Board Game Arena. It is phenomenal on Board Game Arena. No actual drawing, just click the dice and pick and go.
Yeah.
And like you said, a lot of other electronic versions. Get a chance to sit down with this one. Such a fun game to bring. By all means, get it done. Railroad Ink by Horrible Guild. Out. It's been out for a while.
Yeah.
But they just finished the Kickstarter. I just got it not too long ago. Wow, we've got one more game to talk about.
Okay, well, we got one more game to get through, so we're going to play our game, and then we're going to come back to you guys, and we're going to talk about it. We can do it, Larry! Oh, here we are. We have made it to the end of our night.
But we're back.
We are back.
I'll allow it.
You'll allow it because it's been a long day. It has been a long day. Especially, it's been a long day that is kind of. It's been weird because we did this last week.
I know, right? Well, that's what's the beautiful thing about it.
Yeah, we did this last week, and now we had to do it again this week for this new record. But
So maybe if we lose the data again.
No.
Your wife will let.
No. But what was cool about this, and I'm really excited, is we got to play a game that wasn't in our normal rotation for the show.
Right.
And
initially. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
and it goes back a ways.
It goes back way a ways. Almost 100 episodes away.
It is almost 100 episodes away. So it's almost like we couldn't wait. We probably should have waited another 10 episodes. Maybe we'll see, can we get somebody on from the company for the 100th episode.
That would be cool. Well, what's the game, Larry?
This is the first game that we ever talked about, and it is Ashes Reborn.
This is true, yes.
Rise of the Phoenix Born. Of course, the first time we did it, we had the original version, going on 5 years ago. We met at the coffee shop, at our favorite coffee shop. I don't mind giving them some airtime, Just Love, here in Murfreesboro. Love them. And Alex and I were the geeks sitting in the back, learning the game, board game, and playing it.
Yeah.
And like I said, about 5 years ago, and it just lit me up. I mean, I loved it.
Yeah.
I didn't do great at it because it's got a lot and it's a deck builder, and I knew it was going to take me a minute, which I know I'll catch up to.
Well, it's not a deck builder. It's more of a living card game.
Yeah,
it's
but
more of an LCG, but it does have deck building elements to it.
I mean, it's got more deck building than LCG in it.
Yeah, well, so in the
it's LCG in this term in this game is more about the way it's marketed.
Correct. So let me explain.
It's a deck builder.
Yes, because ultimately you build. It's a competitive game in which you build the deck and you bring it to compete against.
Pre-built, right?
Yeah,
to other people.
Yes,
right. And there's mages. Obviously, the Phoenixborn are mages basically, and you're using spells and allies and minions, and it's got dice.
Oh yeah,
wonderful chunky dice.
And so ultimately,
beautiful artwork.
So the resources you're spending to play cards from your hands or actions that are on the board are actually the dice that you roll. And when I tell you like that is the, it sounds like, well, why didn't anyone think about this before? Well, you kind of had Dice Masters, and so it does a little, but it's a little bit different because Dice Masters you have you're building your pool and all of that. And then you can trigger certain things, but Dice Masters is more dealing with the dice.
Yeah.
This is the dice that you roll are specifically the resources that you have.
Yeah, it kind of combines the idea for me behind Dice Masters and Magic.
Yes, exactly. So instead of mana tapping and actually having to get it from your randomly from your deck, like in Magic. You have access to 10 dice that you roll every turn.
Yep.
And what symbols come up are actually what
so
allow you to interact with the cards on the board.
Yep.
And so
you spin them on the cards and or spin them in and of themselves.
Yeah.
To do actions, which is just brilliant.
Yeah.
The depth is just brilliant. And they said this version, of course, this is the reboot of it. It's been slimmed down. They say it's been changed in terms of some of the terminology that you go through. They said they've slimlined it down. We won't get into that here. It's been a long time, unfortunately, since we played it because Alex did, it was one that got traded away. So
and that's an interesting story too, because playing this brought back a lot of just kind of the nostalgia of why I was so hot out in the beginning. But then it reminded me of the journey that I've taken as a board game, as a person who's in board gaming.
That's true.
Because ultimately I purchased it because I was looking for something to do that was not Magic, but it was also a little bit this. I really enjoyed the concept of it. But instantly, I noticed I didn't necessarily have anybody to play with consistently. So, and that one I was in a quick turnaround mode, and of course
very quick.
We've talked about that
because you collected a bit of it. You didn't have the base set.
Yeah, no, I had probably the first.
We sadly never played it again before you got rid of it.
I know, because again, it was one of those things that was just like it wasn't hitting the table like I wanted it to.
It felt so good playing it tonight, and that's another one that came down to the last turn. I made one crucial mistake in the long line of crucial mistakes, which cost me the loss in that one too. But it's just so good. And it was real intense. We were quiet and we were trying to figure out rules, and we having any rules disputes, but inside the whole time I'm just like,
well, it was great too.
This is so good.
Both of our decks were doing completely different things.
Right, and we were playing them bone stock.
Yeah.
We pulled them right out of the boxes, how they came in the packs. I broke them out of their packs and sleeved them. And those are what we played with tonight. And they were doing different things. Love the asymmetry.
Yeah.
Love the asymmetry. Yours was making me get rid of cards. Mine was the beat stick.
Yeah.
And so it's the balance of it is there. It's a smart enough game, guys, where you need to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
So the synergy that you either buy or build, depending on if you're going to just play with it out of the box or you're going to build it separately, you need to pay attention to that, right? You've got a lot of really unique branches within that strategy, but you've got to stick to that strategy. That's your persona. That's who you are. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the strong things. It's not telling you, hey, if something completely comes out of left field, you're going to be able to deal with it in this deck. You're going to have to deal with it in that deck within what that character would do, which I think is brilliant. Now, again, like you said, getting into the deck building, that may change it some. But I think if you lose some of the focus, which we're going to find out, that may also change the timbre. But the way it felt tonight, man, it's meaty. It's accessible. What's the word they like to use? Chunky. It's chunky, man. It is chunky. There's so much to chew on. But if you want to get into a base, roll some dice, play some cards, and look at some neat combos, you can absolutely do
now,
that.
What are they planning to do as far as the release schedule for this? Because they're doing something a little different, aren't they?
Right. From what I understand, what Planet is doing with this one, they're doing kind of a direct order situation in terms of going through a vendor. So like Team Covenant, I know there may be some others. And so when they put a product up, what they're wanting you to do is order it through one of these venues to get your copies. Based on how well that campaign, for lack of a better term, does, we're not talking Kickstarter. This is going to be boom. This is the next setup. Do you want to pre-order here? Go out to these places, support these guys, pre-order it. Depending on how that does, they'll release a certain set amount that'll go into regular distribution that can then, maybe end up in your local FLGS if he didn't order it anyway. Now, obviously, they want your FLGSs to support them. They've got some stuff for some in-game tournaments and all that kind of stuff. So, obviously, if you've got an FLGS and you've got some sway with them, which you do if you're spending money there, then by all means, get them to do that. But it's not a full-on just, we're going to announce this thing and we're going to put product out. They're looking for the support this time so that way they can concentrate on the products that the public wants, which is smart. Definitely, guys. I mean, there's some copies out at, places right now, Miniature Market and Cool Stuff and all the online game stores right now, and probably a lot of local game stores too, have copies of a lot of this first stuff because it's a pretty big wave of it. So there was a lot of hype. And everybody, oh my God, Ashes is coming back. It still has the Fernando Suarez artwork. They've got someone else to work with him too, but the art is still amazing.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that we said in the original, is how much we loved the art.
Yeah, the art is fantastic. So all of that's still intact, but support this one if you can. I mean, you can pick up a pack or two if you love the game, get the base set. One of the things that I love about the Plaid Hat has done here, though, and I do need to say this, they're honoring people who have previously purchased the game.
Yeah.
Because their recharge pack or whatever to bring your previous set, they consider this one 1.5. Mm-hmm. This isn't considered 1. This is considered 2.0. This is a 0.5. But they've got a recharge pack that updates all. It's got like 400 cards in it, so it updates your old stuff. And of course, you've got dice. It's giving you basically the new cards, so you can use your old dice and some of the old cards with the new stuff, so that you're playing the new system with the new, more streamlined cards. It's another reason why I kind of wish you had your set.
Yeah. Because
we probably could literally read those cards side by side. And say, this is how they're different. But I like that they've done that. So we've got a base set. I mean, I'm probably buy some more. I'm really wanting to dig into some more of the deck building myself.
Yeah, and again, that was where I had the most fun, was building my own decks, because again, they were really clever, what they were trying to do, and interacting with the different types of schools of the Phoenix Borns and different things.
Yeah,
a lot of nifty kind of cool interactions that are outside of just the base stuff.
Right. Which is just fantastic. It felt really good to be going back to it.
Yeah.
I was looking it up when I bought it, and that's how I realized, because I knew we'd done it a long time ago, but I didn't realize it was episode 1. Yeah. But that is all the way back in episode 1 where we did Ashes, Rise of the Phoenix Born, and this, of course, is Ashes Reborn, which, again, like I said, is the reboot. Man, this is another thumbs up. This is another one that I'm glad I have. Like I said, we're going to dig a little bit more into it. Alex, it's true what you said while we were playing, hey, before we sink a ton of money in it, let's see how much it hits the table. But I'm going to get some more. I'm going to go a little bit beyond the base. I'm not going to just stick with the base. The number of mages in there are really cool, but I would like to see the other dice and see some of the other possibilities too.
Yeah,
so I'll pick up a couple of the other characters for sure. That's going to happen, and so we'll get it. We will get it to the table. We definitely will get it to the table. It's probably going to stay in my carry bag when I'm coming over here.
It's just like, oh yeah, you want to play? Yeah, sure, let's go. Yeah.
No joke, yeah. Because for now, it all fits in the base box, so it's not gotten too big for me.
Right.
And in fact, I need some more cards to sleeve it so it can be too tight to fall out of there. Right now, I got to keep it horizontal. But once we can get it to the table some more, I'm sure we'll see some more facets of it. But I'm really, really looking forward to playing this one more. And man, this has been an amazing couple of weeks, like you said. A lot of gameplay. It's like it's summertime or something.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I guess maybe WoW is in order?
Yeah, so WoW is in order. We have finished the episode. We are going to this time not lose the audio.
Yes, please don't.
Thank you for being patient with us. For those of you who are normally with us right there on release day, we really appreciate that. You have no idea how much that helps us out when you click on us and download us the day we release it. We really appreciate it, and we've struggled really hard for the 5 years to get it to you on day and date of release date.
Do you know the only other time we weren't right on day of? It was our...
we skipped 1 year.
It was either our 3rd or 4th episode.
Yeah.
It was in November. We were at Tennessee.
We missed completely.
Well, we was like, hey guys, just be patient. We got our episode, and then we just never did it. And then
that didn't go well.
And then you said, never again will we be late.
Yeah, because that was terrible for one. Because we were building up some momentum.
No, we weren't.
Yeah, we were.
We had 6 people.
No, we had been going. we had just gotten up around. If I'm not mistaken, that's when we had just gotten up close to 300.
No way.
Yeah.
No,
not 300. I'm sorry. It was probably
300. Move the decimal point like 2 spaces.
No, it was no, it was more than that. No, it was more than that. We were over 100. We were well over 100, and we dropped back into like 40. And it took us months to get back up over 100.
And now we're at 48.
So no, we're more than that. We're over 1,000, which again we appreciate it. So hopefully there's been some things out there to keep you guys entertained. Again, we really, really appreciate your patience and you hanging there with us. And again, now that you know, never again.
Never again.
This was a technical issue, but I will take care of this. This won't happen again either. But this time, for the spoken token, this is Larry Neal saying, keep communicating.
And I'm Alex Wallace saying, keep playing.
Hey, Max.
Yay!
This has been the Spoken Token Podcast. If you'd like to interact with us, please contact us through email at thespokentokenpodcast@gmail.com, on Instagram at The Spoken Token Podcast, on Twitter at The Spoken Token, or on Facebook at The Spoken Token Podcast. And you can reach us through our BGG Guild, number 2656.
You are listening to a Pod Studio One Podcast Network podcast. Find more great podcasts at www.podstudio1.com.